Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. Here, you leave the world of today and enter the world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy. Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace. Hello and welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. My name is Kev, and once again, I'll be your skipper as we navigate all of the news and reveals from this year's Destination D23 event. But first, if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast focusing on the world of movies, TV shows, games, toys and collectibles, and all things geek-centric. Allow me to introduce my fellow cast members for tonight's show. He's as tall as Jafar and as loud as the genie. He can boast like Gaston, but he's definitely no meanie. It's Justin.
Yo, what's going on?
Very excited to talk with you about upcoming projects, but we also have one more host to introduce. He's got the curly long hair of Bruno and the optimism of Olaf. If you ever lose him at a Disney park, just look for a cloud of smoke and a cough. It's Darcy.
I mean, you can't smoke everywhere at Disney parks, so don't be looking for that. Just look for the weird amount of color and long hair, because that's where I am.
There you go. You're constantly bounding as Darcy Hudson. Yeah, I like it, yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining me today. Typically, the D23 event has had a large focus on upcoming movie and television productions, but with the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes still taking place, this prevented the ability for any real promotion work for upcoming projects and has halted or delayed the release of several prominent projects over the next year. Speaking of the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes, we here at Geekcentric adamantly stand with the writers and actors who are seeking fair compensation for their incredible work. Hopefully they get everything they deserve and more, so they can get back to work and get back to bringing us the stories, characters, and adventures we love. But without further ado, let's put our Mickey ears on and get started. As I previously mentioned, there was very little by way of news regarding the movie and television side of things, but there was a terrific amount of updates as it regards the Disney park and travel experience, and that's what we'll be focusing on for our show today. While we love bringing reviews and in-depth discussions for the latest and greatest Disney entertainment, we are also park junkies. In fact, just this last year, many of us geeks have been to several parks, so the announcements of additions and improvements to parks around the world has us very excited for what the future of the Disney park experience has in store. As our host for the park showcase, Josh DeMero, said, there will be new lands, new attractions, and more construction underway than at any point in their history. And they're planning on investing billions of dollars into these projects. So you will see so much new and exciting stuff at all the parks around the world, and that's awesome. Does everyone have their magic bands? Because we are going park hopping. And not just at one resort, but on a global scale. We're going to kind of go in order around the world here and wind up at our home park, if you will, Disney World in Orlando. As I said, we're going to start our journey overseas where Disney is going into the unknown. Or I guess the very, very well-known, as they are introducing the world of Frozen and Arendelle to the Disneyland Paris and Hong Kong Disneyland parks. Footage for Paris included overhead shots of the land, showcasing Arendelle Castle, surrounding villages, as well as a brief shot of a Kristoff animatronic. Those who dislike the projection technology, or screen-faced animatronics, used on attractions like Frozen and Epcot, will be pleased to know this preview showed a more familiar animatronic style. So I think that'll go over very well with people. In addition, the Disneyland Hotel in Paris will also finally be reopening in the first quarter of 2024, complete with its royal fairy tale theming. This looks really fantastic, including regal improvements to the main lobby, concourse, and dining areas, as well as theming to rooms including Snow White, Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, The Princess and the Frog, Frozen, Moana, and Raya and the Last Dragon. The rooms, this looks like the ultimate Disney theming. You know, you always know you're at a Disney resort, just by the quality of the aesthetics and the decor. But this looks like the first time each room will have a strong Disney theming where you'll feel like you're in Anna's, royal bedroom if you're staying in the Frozen room, which I think that's a really cool idea.
What I think is really cool is the fact that you mentioned Raya and the Last Dragon, not your typical, fairy tale presence that you'd picture when you hear that word. So it's really cool. They're kind of dipping their toes into all corners of the fantasy realm that they're, telling their stories in. So it's really cool to see
Yeah,
that.
I think it's also just, culturally rich with the possibilities of what you could do for theming in a room, in a section or room of this hotel, right? Like, even if it isn't necessarily the fairy tale, I think it's perfect for it. But it does sound like the ultimate, experience in terms of wanting to, I guess geek out or, get the full sort of theming experience for that. I always think of, I know it's a really random reference, but in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil, they go on like their own little vacation and they go to this hotel. It's themed. There's like a Roman and a Greek and all of
A
this.
jungle
And it's
room and
yeah, there's a jungle room and stuff like that. It's absolutely hilarious. But, that to me is always the level of theming. Like that was so hardcore. Like they would have you dress in the attire and stuff like that. And of course, we're talking about a sitcom. But always when I thought of like, how deep does the theming go? Like, I want to be able to walk into the Raya and the Last Dragon room and like, be able to like wear some of the stuff, right? And have like a full suite. You know what I mean? Like it would be pretty epic. But yeah, that's cool. I like that they're doing that. Let's bring some of that over into the other side of the world. You know what I mean? Let's see it in Florida. I think there's possibility for that.
Yeah. I mean, like even in Vegas, where like I recently stayed at the Luxor Hotel. While the hotel has that strong Egyptian pyramid feel, and there's beautiful decorations and everything that really make you feel like you're in a pyramid. In the main part of the hotel, once you get to the room, it's just a hotel room. It's just a standard hotel room, and that's very much like Disney. And so I think this is exactly what you described, Justin. I think too a bit of a toned down version, but no, the concept for the Arendelle room that I saw, like it was clearly Frozen. It wasn't just a princess bedroom; it was that princess bedroom, and so it'd be amazing. Like that would make you want to stay multiple times or
In
switch
all the
rooms and get
yeah.
around. Like so, just I agree. Bring this hotel to Disney World, and everything else can stay the same. You don't have to change the current hotels, but have one that is really strong in the room theming. I think it would be a hit. I know one person living up in Aurora, Ontario, who would visit 3 times a year just to get a different room experience. Shout out to Mom if you're listening. Now, Darcy, I did want to quickly ask, does this new hotel and a Frozen land get you to want to go back to Disneyland Paris so soon after being there this March?
I mean, yeah, I'd always want to go back to Disney. It doesn't matter where it is. It's Disney. I love it there. But yeah, I would definitely go back for a new hotel experience because I've stayed at a few of the hotels in Paris, and like we just did the Art of Marvel, which was fantastic and everything like that. But I would getting that fairy tale aesthetic would be really cool to experience because that is what Disney was built on. So it'd be neat to go back just to experience that alone.
Absolutely. Now, we were talking about Frozen hitting Disneyland Paris, but it will also be coming to Hong Kong Disneyland. It's called The World of Frozen, and that actually opens in November of this year. This massive new land will include Arendelle Castle, surrounding village areas, and a massive backdrop of a mountain featuring Elsa's ice castle and a waterfall. Justin, have you seen anything for this, like these 2 new Arendelle additions?
Yeah, they had a video online, I think for Disney Parks. It was just kind of like a behind the scenes, if you will, vignette with the Imagineers just talking about what it means to be bringing, this to life. It looks really detailed. It almost matches in my mind to what you would see in Hogsmeade or even Diagon Alley. Just that level of detail and sort of design sensibility of trying to bring that world to life. I think in a lot of ways, that style of park experience is the full immersion. And if you can create these worlds, and some we'll talk about when we get closer to home, but when you create these worlds, I think it literally it's a new level of park experience, right? It goes beyond just rides and sensations and stuff. It's like living in it, and I think that again, Hogwarts, the Hogwarts experience with that Universal has done really does kind of has really kicked things into that gear, and I think followed up with something like Batu and what they did with Star Wars, and I think they can even go further with that. Obviously, as we'll talk, but the idea of just creating an immersive experience, I think it's a huge win, and it looks like it's going to do really well, and an attraction for Hong Kong too, right? Like this is a park that I think that it's like you go there, but like this is something that will draw people there. You know what I mean?
I absolutely agree. And I mean, speaking of Hogwarts, I think we can all agree that the best themed areas in this type of amusement park, especially just in Orlando itself, is the Harry Potter stuff at Universal. I think they've done the best job. And even what differentiates it from, say, Batu at Galaxy's Edge is that at least Hogsmeade and the village there, and with Hogwarts Castle, those are so familiar and so ingrained. They have a very distinct style and aesthetic, and they're landmarks that we recognize. Whereas Batu is all new, and so while it was impressive and it's massive, this Arendelle looks like it's that kind of scope, but with something you go, wow, that's right from the movie. That's right from the movie, and that sort of thing doesn't really exist in a lot of places. I'd say the closest they have to it is Toy Story Land. And that one's kind of simple because it's basically just, walkway markers made of toys and a few toys around it. And it's like, boom,
and the toys.
This is Toy Story. This is Toy Story. Yeah. So, going forward and with some of the additions we'll be talking about at the Disney World Resort, I would love to see like this bigger scope and like really make me feel like even for a short time I'm in this specific movie, not just a Disney sort of environment. I think that would be really, really cool. And like this land is massive, this new edition, especially at Hong Kong, where they're getting 3 attractions. They're getting their own version of Frozen Ever After, which is the Epcot ride. And so obviously that'll be updated and again will not feature the screen-faced animatronics, folks. Don't worry. But there will also be a roller coaster named the Wanderin' Oaken Sleighs. And an interactive children's experience called Playhouse in the Woods. I would like. This is like 3 attractions at once to start is pretty awesome. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, no, I think it's the idea of investing in these global markets, and I think it's safe to say Frozen did well in the Chinese cinema and in the East Asian market. So I think it's probably safe to say that this park will do really, really well. And it'll be interesting to see how well it does once it opens this November. So to have 3 attractions to kind of kick things off and to say like, hey, we're making a splash with this one. It's good.
Yeah, I think it's really, really smart. And really quickly, it is smart to maybe this is the only 2 places you can find Arendelle is going to be Disneyland Paris and Hong Kong. And, that's a really smart idea to get people to want to go to the different parks to see the very unique and different things. Not that those parks over on the east coast of Asia there don't have unique individual attractions that make you want to go over and check them out already. Jeez. Really quickly, there was news regarding the 7th ship to join the Disney cruise fleet, the Disney Adventure, that will be sailing out of Singapore starting next year. That puts Disney ships officially across the globe, which is really cool. Each new Disney ship gets bigger and better, and I'd love to see one of the newer ships after having cruised on a few of their older ones on multiple occasions. In addition, we got a decent look at Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point, which is the new Disney island located in the Bahamas that several of their ships will routinely visit on their journeys. It's massive, Darce. Like, it looks like it's 3 times the size of Castaway Key.
Yeah, I saw a map. It's kind of ridiculous. I thought we were spoiled with Castaway Key and how much amenities they had there, and they're like, "Hold on, hold my Mickey drink here or slushy. I gotta one up myself," and it's crazy. I'd love to go there.
Definitely. Now, I'm not sure. Have you ever cruised before?
No, I've never cruised. It's one
now,
thing.
Do you have a desire?
If we were going to do a cruise, if I feel like if we were going to cruise, then I'd probably want to cruise that way. Just because the theming again, the experience, it's just
you don't want to hop on a party cruise and drink all inclusive for 7 days. That's not your kind of cruise. The Disney cruise is relaxed, themed activities around Disney. It's Disney dining. It's Disney character meet and greets. It's just at sea. Mm-hmm. Like that would definitely be, if you were going to do it, the way for you and your family to do it. I think you guys would love it.
Yeah, I would definitely do it.
Awesome. Well, I think I'm saving the biggest and best for last for our North American parks. So let's first head over to Anaheim to look at some of the announcements for Disneyland. We got a brief look at the animatronics for Tiana's Bayou Adventure that will be replacing Splash Mountain at both Disneyland and Magic Kingdom. While it was just a skeleton frame for Louie the Alligator, it's exciting to get any updates for this reimagining. Splash was always a favorite of mine, but not only did it need a rebranding for obvious reasons, I also felt this ride aged a bit more poorly than some of the other ones. Like, some attractions just seem timeless, and you slap a bit of paint on it, and it's like, yep, it's as good as the day it opened. But Splash, I found with some of the animatronics, the sound, some of the projection effects and stuff, they were ahead of their time, but quickly dated themselves. And so this rebranding is great for so many reasons.
Especially because, like, I think the upkeep and like maintenance on a water ride is so much harder. So of course those flaws or the aging will become more apparent because the water's gonna have so much more of an effect. I gotta say though, this Louis skeleton is kind of terrifying. I want to see it with a skin on, because what's underneath there is, while it's incredible and everything like that, kind of creeps me out.
It's like that video going around of Tickle Me Elmo without the fur on. It's freaky.
Yes.
That'll ruin a childhood or two.
Yeah, I think it's great that we're actually getting our first look at a reimagining of Splash, and I think it looks good. And given that Disney California in Anaheim opened if I'm not mistaken, the Tiana like restaurant and that section with all of the baked goods and stuff, you can see again the theming taking place and the sort of ways that they're bringing in the elements of the culture from Louisiana into it very wholeheartedly, and it looks really, really good. So I'm interested to see again how it's going to translate to the ride. The little glimpses though that they gave us were good enough for now, but it's again, like you said, it's going to be the same structure of the ride. It's just, I think the story that takes us up there, and as we come down, that'll be the difference in the experience. So it'll be cool to see how they adapt that story.
100%. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how they explain the drop. Unless I did have the suggestion, we're going up to visit the Firefly in the sky.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And you say hello to him, and then splish splash. Now, when later on in the program, when they were talking about the Magic Kingdom parks, they showed some footage and pictures from the outside of the attraction, and even that, it will be different looking. I don't think it's just Splash Mountain with the Tiana water tower and that's it. They seem to be refacing a lot of the rock structures, so I think they'll be doing something to make it look different from that very iconic Brer Patch mountain that we've been so used to for 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't think we're walking through the old watermill like house, like that old wooden barn structure. It looks like they've updated that as well. So I'm really excited to see how they've again reimagined this classic attraction.
When's the estimated opening date?
That is late 2024.
Okay, cool.
So we'll miss it. We'll miss it at both of our next two upcoming trips, unfortunately. Darn! We'll have to plan something for 2025. Shoot. Either way, I think there is some amazing potential to include a movie like Princess and the Frog, which is severely underappreciated. I've thought so since it first came out. So this is awesome that we're getting closer to it getting the recognition it deserves. But the biggest news for Disneyland was our first look at the vehicle for what they're calling a world-jumping attraction at Avengers Campus. The vehicle combines elements of Tony Stark's time suits with Xandarian jump points and Wakandan technology. The vehicle will help transport superheroes into the multiverse, which extends on the news we got last year about an attraction centered on our favorite heroes teaming up to defeat King Thanos. So we're sort of getting an idea of what this ride's gonna look like. The car looks really, really cool. I imagine it's trackless. That's the way they're going these days. But it looks. Yeah, I wonder just how big and massive they can make the scope of it over you. It'll be like Ratatouille on steroids.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be cool to see how they decide to incorporate or like tell a new story with all these characters. Because I mean, the rides you've been on for Avengers so far, while they do tell a story, they happen so fast it's hard to really take it all in. So I'm kind of hoping that this one isn't a roller coaster, a bit more slowed down so you can enjoy a story with the characters. Because, again, they try to tell these stories in the Cosmic Rewind and the Flight Force in Paris. And, I mean, you're on a roller coaster whipping by these screens. It's hard to figure out what you just looked at when you're whipping around in the dark.
Well,
so,
and
a slower ride would be
and Spider-Man
appreciated.
is like a workout. You don't need to go to the gym the day you're going to Avengers Campus. Just ride Spider-Man twice, and you're getting your bicep workout in. Man, that ride is a workout. Yeah, I want to just sit there and watch a bunch of Avengers kick Thanos' ass. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, though, the idea too with these rides is that they're so like they're such siloed experiences. Like I feel like, you know, with both Avengers Campus and Galaxy's Edge, like, it's a lot of ooh and ah and look at all these things, and then, you know, you do the rides and they're like, oh, that's fun, right? Like, you know, it was a good time, and it's just so siloed and pocketed. And, you know, again, I think it's the idea of where the nuances of Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, it's just the little details that go so much further beyond just the rides and attractions. Like you said, Kevin, I think a lot of it has to do with us connecting with those memories from the movie and from the books. But, you know, to have those elements and to at least lean into them a little bit more can live to be something so much more, right?
I think one of the biggest issues when you have something that spans so many locales and so many different tones, like even if you look at Star Wars, you know, which iconic planet could you pick to devote a whole land to? Well, why don't we recreate one instead of trying to choose? And then with Marvel, it's, you know, all these characters are from such different places. Which characters, you know, sort of home environment do you pick to base a land off? Well, you don't pick any. You make it a campus or a training compound. And so I think the idea of a ride where all these characters can come together and you can jump from world to world and visit the places you're familiar with, that's how you really bring in that MCU feeling.
Yeah, I think the idea is, too, with both Batuu and Avengers Campus, they're meant to be new worlds and places that already exist in the stories that we know. Right? So we know Star Wars, and Batuu is a planet in Star Wars, and that is what is Galaxy's Edge. You know what I mean? Is part of that story of Star Wars. And I think the same is to be said about Avengers Campus and how it's just meant to fit into the world of the MCU. Whereas obviously, as we're talking about, you know, the Hogwarts experience, that's meant to replicate the world as we know, and so that it brings it to life in a whole different way. So it's about being a part of the story or being a part of a new story in a lot of ways.
Again, I just want to point out that technically the theme parks are the MCTPU, the Marvel Cinematic Theme Park Universe. So it's like the one we watch, but slightly different in that we can visit the people that we watch in those movies. Right. So again, another fun way that Disney's like, it's the same. But
exactly. And like the whole multiverse story is going to be interesting with the ride, right? And like King Thanos is a character. So it's like finding a way to tell that story in a theme park ride, like you said earlier, Darcy, it just needs to be something that can be experienced rather than something that's just whipping by you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we have so few details about the ride, and I never want to be like, oh, this is what I want from the ride, just to, like, so that if that doesn't happen, you know, I'm disappointed in any way. I'm excited to see whatever these brilliant people have in store. But imagine a ride kind of like a Star Tours, depending on how it's structured, where you could team up with 2 or 3 different Avengers each time you went on the ride. You could construct it so that they, you know, you get different combinations of Avengers and visit 2 or 3 different places on the way every time before getting to your ultimate climax against King Thanos. I mean, that sounds like a shit ton of Marvel stuff to film and a fight to choreograph and with a whole bunch of different, but you could just plug in different characters doing different things. But something like that just would offer so much endless potential. You could constantly update it and add characters and stuff like that. But again, that's just one thought I had about the ride. And speaking of Star Tours, we can move on to the next bit of news that actually applies to not just Disneyland in California, but to Disneyland in Paris and Disney World. We are going to be getting some new adventures in early 2024 featuring Ahsoka.
Oh, sweet.
So
Cool.
that's very cool.
Ooh,
See,
Purgles.
again, they can constantly. Well, that's what I was going to say. Are we getting Purgles? You know, we're flying by some Purgles. They will just have you weaving through. Like that's really, really cool.
Oh, you'll probably see Cetos, the planet with the red trees. You may go to Lothal. That would be fucking sick.
Yeah, you got to fly past the big
the iconic tower that where Sabine is, and that'd be pretty cool. That's great news to hear, though.
Oh yeah, there's also a possibility to go back to Coruscant, but go to like the underworld where she hangs out with Trace and whatever the other one's name is. There's a lot of potential like cool places that we go with Ahsoka. I'm just wondering like, does that mean that whenever you get an Ahsoka adventure, will it only be Ahsoka? Because the way that I've written on it before, they kind of mix and blend everything else together. So this seems like almost like, how would you do that?
Maybe they're their own
I
new
can't wait to see.
stories, right? Like they're their own.
Yeah, I can't wait to
silo
see how
stories,
this is. If it's a standalone thing, or if they will be worked into the other, adventures that we already go on Star Tours. I think it'd be really neat. So I can't wait to see what we get from that.
Take me to that planet with the temple, the destroyed temple, and you land quickly. One of those assassin robots comes out, and you've got to fly away from the explosion. That would be sick.
Oh, Hera's with you. Oh, that'd be great. And then, oh man, and then you could have like Huyang as the droid. But they'd have to kind of come in and retrofit.
Yeah, they'd have to retrofit a lot. I don't think we'll go quite that far, but But again, this is the kind of potential that a ride design like this gives you. You can update it every time you have a new show or movie,
that's the beauty,
and that is awesome. Star Tours is really cool for that. Every ride is different.
I remember, I think it was for The Last Jedi, and I was at Disney when they were rotating through some of the planets, and I went on that ride so many times, and I ended up getting all of the iterations. So I was like, that was my goal while I was there, to just make sure I could get it all. But yeah, it's pretty crazy that you can experience that ride numerous times. And while it's more or less the same, because like the way the story's structured and whatnot, the experiences that you fly, the planets, the maybe even just the setup for the story, it's always different. So it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, you get to go to the new locations from movies as They never did anything from Solo, though. How dare they? How dare they? Speaking of Disney World, we'll hop on our final flight of the evening over to Orlando, and we will visit our beloved home base park, the one and only Disney World. We actually only have news from 3 of the parks. Hollywood Studios was really, really quiet this year. I guess they're still figuring out what they want to do with a potential Galaxy's Edge expansion. But it does not seem like there's anything major in terms of shows or attractions.
They've invested a lot there, though, already, right? Like, think about Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge. That's probably, between that, I would say $1 billion. You know what I mean? Like, easily. So if anything, they could probably throw some money to the other 3 parks that I think needed a little bit more, need some love.
Well, speaking of which, these other 3 are getting some love. Let's start with Animal Kingdom. Last year, we heard that Dinoland USA would be receiving a massive overhaul, and now we have a bit of a better idea of the theme. A tropical America land will be going in its place, featuring Encanto. And so it looks like they had the magical house there. Not sure what's going to go there, but the land itself looks beautiful. I was never a fan of Dinoland USA, and so this is very welcome news. It looks stunning from the concept art, just with all the trees and vegetation. It looks really lush. But then crack that whip, baby, because the other theming we're getting here is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And that means that they're planning on taking Dinosaur the Ride, which again is another one that's a little bit dated now. And they're going to make it an Indiana Jones attraction. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, well, I think these play a lot better to Animal Kingdom than Dino Land, which in a lot of ways, like, again, the charm of it was that it felt very carnival-esque, right? Like, it didn't age well, and I think it's due for an upgrade. So I love the idea to think about how much the stories of Disney have grown, to not include something like Encanto or the idea that now they have Indiana Jones in Animal Kingdom, like to not do that, that's silly. It makes complete and total sense.
I mean, Indiana Jones, in my opinion, works more at Hollywood Studios.
But that's the movie.
Like, Indy's not a big animal guy.
Side. Sure, but he's also an adventurer, and he's also someone who
travels
to these
exploring
these
the jungles and
exactly. Well, exploring these parts of the world for the relics and the stories that we all love, right? So it's, at the end of the day, it makes sense for Indiana Jones as a character, as not as the behind the scenes movie experience, which is at Hollywood Studios, which makes total sense for Hollywood Studios to have something like that, because it's all about the movie experience, these big epic stories. And I think here it's like Indiana Jones could actually live as a character character. Very much like, they have certain characters at Batu right now, I think primarily at Disneyland, like Ahsoka and Hera, right? Obviously for relevancy because those shows are playing, but like the idea that Indiana Jones could be a character that could walk around through the animal kingdom, that would be pretty cool. I think that's an interesting, interesting
you
way
could do
to
a
kind of,
whip show at
That's what I'm
2:15,
saying.
3:15, and 4:15. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I would wait for that one. For sure.
Yeah.
I just need them to promise me that this isn't just going to be some like, oh, there's a Jeep driving through a jungle to a temple and they slap the Indiana Jones name on it and that's it. Because that was very much my experience in Disneyland Paris, where the coaster there, which is a fun little coaster, don't get me wrong, but they called it Indiana Jones, and outside of the music playing in the line, and then I think at the end you see a tent with his fedora and whip sort of in it. That's all you get for Indiana Jones. And so I want some theme, like film Harrison right now. Get the videos for the lineup now.
They won't need to, man. They got Lucasfilm with that de-aging stuff. They could they could totally deep fake his
just take
face
old
onto
movie
one.
footage. Sure, I don't care what you do, or give me an animatronic in the ride. I think that's what's the case at Disneyland, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say this. The fact that it's taking over Dinosaur being the 4x4 seating Jeep setup for the passengers, very reminiscent of the ride in Disneyland where you're Salah's talking to you as you're getting ready to go on the ride, and then you're on the Jeep, and then you see the animatronic Indy holding back the door or dangling over a pit and stuff like that. So I can easily see them going that route with this ride again, because again the layout already feels like it's going to be a deep spooky cave adventure.
Whatever they do, I am stoked, because again, I've only ever been to Disneyland once. I've only been on the Indy ride once. I need more Indy in my life.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, again, to capitalize on this property beyond that, if again, not saying that there's not potential for more movies, but maybe not with Harrison Ford, that character could probably live on in the parks in a really great way. But going back to the Encanto, that's going to be great. And again, another story that fits beautifully into the animal kingdom sort of theming, and it'd be nice, you kind of go through and then suddenly you kind of transition from one park to the next through trees, and then suddenly you're in this Encanto experience. I think that's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do, and I'm wondering if they're going to do anything that's going to be kind of similar to that of Pandora, where the night the lights will change, things will kind of look a little different, to kind of give more of an appetite for what it looks like during the day and what it looks like in the night. Because that's my favorite part about Pandora, right? And even just how it seamlessly blends in. Like, you could easily argue that doesn't need to be an animal kingdom, but there's reasoning behind it because of its sort of structures and its plant life and everything else that it kind of goes into its theming with. So it makes total sense. I love that we're getting more of these more recent stories, and definitely Disney's like, yeah, this story was a hit. We need to be making some sort of park attraction for it. So let's go.
Yeah, 100%. Now, the only other movie I could see seamlessly fitting into Animal Kingdom is Zootopia, which is something they considered. And I mean, looking at the Zootopia that's coming into a couple parks overseas, or at least one, I think Shanghai is getting like a really incredible Zootopia land. I mean, find a place to put that for me too. I think
that makes sense to where they think they want to put it, or where they were talking about it, at least at the last.
Well, they
considered Magic Kingdom. That was extending out Magic Kingdom and putting it beyond what's that ride?
Beyond Thunder Mountain? Oh, don't worry. We'll talk about Thunder Mountain and Beyond Thunder Mountain a little later in the program. But no, they had considered Zootopia for Dinoland USA. They've gone in a different direction, as there's going to be a new Zootopia show, which will replace It's Tough to Be a Bug in the Tree of Life.
Whoa!
So yeah,
you sad to see that one go, Cal?
You know what? That
sad to see that one go. I know it's your favorite show.
My favorites.
It's your favorite.
I will say it's a pretty darn good show. But I mean, even Bug's Life was never one of my favorite, and it's not because I'm mortified of bugs. It's a fun, lovely cartoon about it, but it was never one of my favorite, Pixar movies. Plus, I'll die on this cross. I'm ants for life. Ants
Team Ants.
Ants for life.
It's Woody Allen. It's Woody Allen. Woody Allen, right?
Yeah,
Is Woody Allen in
it's
it?
Woody
Yeah,
Allen.
okay.
That,
Yeah.
But no, this show sounds really cool. I don't know if you've seen the footage of the what's the cop the fun
Clawhauser.
the animatronic
Clawhauser?
that's going to
Yeah.
be at the Zootopia attraction in Shanghai. It sounds like we might get a very similar version as our host for this Zootopia show.
That'd be worth checking it out, though, right? Especially given the fact that, again, that ride for the Bug's Life has been there for a while. So, giving it an update and a refresh makes a lot of sense. I would love to see, though, if there is some way they could keep a Bug's Life, some sort of experience like that in Animal Kingdom. But I don't know. I'm not to say to recreate the exact same thing, but maybe something that is still a way to pay homage to that film.
I mean, I can see this Zootopia show almost being like a talent show that was in the movie that Clawhauser was trying to go on, like America's Got Talent or whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
Type thing, or Zootopia's Got Talent. So
The
it'd be
crowd
cool if
has
it
to
was
cheer for who they.
Yeah, it's kind of like an interactive experience almost, where you're looking at all the citizens of Zootopia cheer, showing off their talents and how wild and varied they could be, just like the Animal Kingdom. I mean, there's a lot of cool potential for that show. So I'll definitely be in line for it the next time once it's open.
Yeah, this is very, very new in development, but they did say that we would be seeing different biospheres or whatnot of the Zootopia land. So we'll visit different places somehow. Really curious to see what they do, if they keep it sort of the same format with just a new show, or if they really, really give it a refresh. But yeah, there's a couple massive, all of a sudden it's like, damn, got to go to Animal Kingdom every time, I guess. Some of these parks you can skip sometimes if you go a lot, but they're making all of these must visit destinations. I think it's really, really smart to be giving love to both Animal Kingdom and the next park we're going to talk about, which is Epcot. Which has felt like it's been under construction for like a decade now. You cannot walk through that park and get to the World Showcase without walking past 100,000 feet of under construction walls. That will be changing in the next year.
Well, that was nice to see from a lot of the media and influencers that were out there that were posting stuff, is that it looked like a lot of that construction, especially at the front, was gone, which was nice because, obviously they have a new Moana water feature, which we'll talk about. But again, just to see that park, again, as we were talking about with Animal Kingdom, just investing in these parks, taking them a little bit further, not letting them just kind of dwindle, right? I think, we're talking about obviously our upcoming Disney trip in January, and we're thinking, is there a lot to see at Epcot? There's a couple rides here and there. Maybe it's a half day, but I'm actually thinking, after even just seeing this, no, I think it's going to be a full day.
You got to go check that thing out front to back.
Yeah, and daytime and nighttime. That's the
There's lots to cover. They're literally adding a full day's worth of attractions here just now. I mean, you've got the Guardians of the Galaxy ride that just opened this year, I believe, earlier this year, and it is perhaps the best coaster ride that Disney has ever done. It is amazing. It's worth going to Epcot alone. But now, on top of that, you're going to get the Journey of Water, which you mentioned, Justin, inspired by Moana, which is a walkthrough interactive attraction. That opens on October 16th. There's a Moana meet and greet that's also opening near the attraction. I have not been into the character meet and greets for a long time, and now it is, near the top of my priority list, I've learned, traveling with a small child. So this is just another new photo meet and greet to add to the list, which also coincides with Figment starting to do guest greetings on September 10th. He just was unveiled this weekend.
He ate shit
met a
twice,
lot of the.
though. He ate shit twice.
He's getting used to his.
Have you seen? Okay, can we just talk about this costume for a second?
I want to. So
it looks
bad.
really.
Great.
It looks cool, but it looks incredibly uncomfortable to actually maneuver it. You can literally see where the person's face and head are in relation to the actual
kind of like his
mannequin.
neck. Yeah,
exactly.
they're at about his neck level. Yeah.
And on Twitter or X, they posted videos of him eating shit twice, and someone made a funny, if you fall press this button if you need help for Figment. And I was dying. I've literally been going back and forth with my wife. I sent her the first one, she sent me the second one, and then I sent her that picture. And we were both dying of laughter because Figment is such a huge part of Epcot, and it just feels like he dwindled to the background and was just not important. And it's like there's so much potential with that character, even in, like, I think we talked about, like, I don't know if it was actually news or not, but I can't remember, but a Figment movie, like, where is that, right? Like to help kind of tell the story of Figment a little bit more. So I'm glad that they've invested in a new sort of meet and greet. I just wish the costume was a little bit better, because I think there's some flaws if someone is falling very hard twice.
No, I've also seen it even at the D23 itself. Whoever was wearing it at that point had it down. He was jumping. They were
He had it
jumping
for
around,
24 hours
shaking
for sure.
Yeah, a little practice. That's all. He's just got to figure it out. I just
Yeah,
know if I was a cast member working that event and Figment falls over, you just got to make a funny joke. Oh, let's all use our imagination and pretend that didn't happen. As three cast members rush out and have to pick up this poor person in this stupidly awkward to walk around in costume.
But it looks good. It looks good. It looks good.
It looks fun. I'll line up for that one for me, and then I'll do Moana for Robbie. Asha from Disney's Wish will also soon appear at that park and in California and Paris as well. Obviously, that will coincide with the release of the movie in November of this year.
I love that Epcot's getting some princess love. Like they're putting some, like you said, meet and greets back on the table, but specifically for Epcot, making it more worthwhile.
I think it's brilliant. Epcot's never been a character park. A lot of it being because it hadn't been associated with specific properties as much in the past, and now they're really focusing on that.
To be?
No, it was meant to be something different. But I mean, if you now have a fan of princesses, like they've got 4 or 5 meet and greets between Elsa and the ones I've mentioned now, Elsa and Anna, and then these new characters like. That's a day for them, just waiting to meet these favorite characters of theirs. It's brilliant. They've really turned Epcot from what was like a kind of boring adult park into a family park. They've done a great job reinventing it over the last 12 years. And on top of that, improving the park experience for everyone will be the fact that the World Celebration Pavilion, which basically takes up the entire middle of Epcot before you get to World Showcase, will finally be opening in December. So again, all of those construction walls that have had Moana going on and this giant pavilion, whatever it is, I haven't seen too much about it. I'm kind of excited to just see it myself and in person. But I think the big news coming out here is that in December, it opens up to everybody, and it will just, I think, even just walking through the park will be a completely different experience. Instead of everyone funneling through walls. Yeah, Epcot's a full day now, man. Epcot is an absolutely full day.
At least when we go in January, because everything will be sort of fresh and brand new. So we'll definitely want to be experiencing that.
Well, I bet you haven't done Ratatouille yet since it opened there. You've got a full day ahead of you. And then to cap it off at night, Epcot is getting another new nighttime show. This one entitled Luminous: The Symphony of Us. It debuts later this year as well. This show at Epcot has changed so much in the last few years, and it's crazy because Illuminations, some version of it was changed every 10, 15 years. It ran from 1988 to 2019 in some form of that show. And then a temporary show, Epcot Forever, ran for 6 months while they prepared for this new multi-million-dollar show, Harmonious. It was not met with much love. Specifically, there was a lot of anger and vitriol focusing on the bad sight lines created during the day by these massive water-spraying screens that actually stayed in the center of the showcase lagoon all day. And people were really bothered by the fact that it was an eyesore during the day. And as cool as I thought the show was, you really do have to watch from a certain vantage point or you can't see these screens, and it's therefore even less worth the eyesore that it is during the day.
Yes, having seen both what was the name of the show? Harmonious. Yeah, having seen Harmonious a few times from different angles, I can easily see why people are upset, because it is kind of ridiculous how you this circular viewing area where you can watch this fireworks show all of a sudden gets cut down to 2 optimal viewing angles where you can see the center screen. When I also recently had the pleasure of seeing the Disney Adventure water show, where it's again very centrally located, but the way that the water shoots out, the screens are changing angles, so no matter where you are, you're getting part of the show no matter what. So you're not missing. While you might miss out on some part, you're not missing out on all of it. Where again, this Harmonious was terrible layout, so I'm hoping that we have a better sight line. Yeah, that's I was on that.
Yeah,
team.
the giant center screen should have been rotating during the show. It should have been spinning to be seen by the 360 degrees of people standing around the lake. And I know this is a crazy operation, but that mechanism should have gone down for the day somehow. You sort of bring up some walls, part the water, bring it down, cover it up, and then bring it out at night. I know that's massive,
that's
but
engineering.
Hey, I just watched a video of the stadium in Barcelona, a 100-year-old stadium, and they installed a device where the whole grass field, is now transported in segments underground, and they put concrete so they can have concerts and stuff at the stadium. So hey, if they're able to do it in this super old stadium with a grass field, you could do it with the Disney Harmonious centerpiece. Anyway, I just hope nobody lost their job over the fact that this show was millions and millions and millions of dollars to put together and got scrapped so quickly. Luminous sounds very similar in theming to Harmonious, but I guess just without the giant water spraying contraptions smack dab in the middle of the lake. We'll see how long this one lasts. But that is it for Epcot. We're going to hop on the monorail for our final stop, which is the Magic Kingdom, and it's going to see some massive changes over the years to come. Last year, we first heard about a new land. You mentioned this earlier, Justin. The biggest ever at Magic Kingdom, beyond Thunder Mountain. Not much new was shared here, but it's definitely something worth keeping an eye on in the years to come. Now, Just, you did mention, I believe, Coco. This is, I think, where we'd see some really strong Coco theming. I think they'll put a couple movies back here, and then maybe a little Zootopia, although I don't know how that fits with Coco, but we'll see. They're brilliant. And then hopefully, eventually, you get to a Villains land of the park. This is something that I think a lot of fans would really enjoy seeing. And as they said in this presentation, we've got a lot of room to work with back there. So I think when they say it's the biggest land ever, and it's going to be bigger than New Fantasyland, it's going to be bigger than Batuu. I mean, that is, or as big as Batuu, but at the Magic Kingdom, that'll be crazy.
But it's also the biggest addition, right? Like probably in terms of what they're wanting to do. It's interesting that they went really hard last time. About saying like, hey, yeah, this is what we want to do. This time they were like, yeah, there's still plans to do that. I'm wondering if a lot of it's still being under evaluation by Bob Iger in terms of what to keep and what to kind of maybe delay or scrap or whatever. But yeah, I think it all makes sense. Like there's justification for these places to live in. Animal Kingdom, Hollywood, Epcot. Like, why not have a Coco experience at Epcot? Do you know what I mean? Like that's.
They had talked about potentially putting that at the Mexico Pavilion, which makes the most sense.
Yeah,
that could use a refresh, like Norway got with Frozen. That could really benefit from something like that.
Exactly, but also you got the 3 Caballeros, so that ride is a classic.
That ride can go.
It's apparently it is slated to close soon. I'm very sad. That was a more recent find for us, and
I loved it.
To see it, it's great, and the fact that it's. I mean. I hope Coco does take its place and kind of embraces the culture a bit more than Caballeros did, because that was fun while it is, but it again feels a bit dated.
Sure, it does. It definitely.
Again, Coco could definitely use some more representation.
Oh, for sure. I think giving it. I actually think it's better to give it a land rather than just restrict it to the pavilion. Do you know what I mean? Like restricting the experience to that one area. You could definitely do something really cool with with that water boat ride and adapt it to really fit the Coco vibes. But I feel like a land really makes sense because it was so rich. And if you could go, if that's kind of the gateway from the land of the living to the land of the dead sort of thing, and that gets you into your villains, that's interesting, right? Like you could play around with the idea of darkness and what that looks like, but who knows? But it makes sense too, in my opinion, to do a land like Zootopia in Magic Kingdom, because Magic Kingdom is like sort of like the idea that you would enter these different parts of the park that kind of are transporting you to worlds. Do you know what I mean? So if the vision is to create an immersive experience tailored to that one property, it might make sense for these lands to live in Magic Kingdom, so they can really kind of keep that consistency of theming the park to feel like its own environment. Because the one thing I would say about Magic Kingdom is definitely it's just the experience as you move through feels like very inspired to be something of its own.
100%. That's, and they're continuing to upgrade very familiar older areas. We are going to be getting the return of an old legend, Pegleg Pete the Parrot, who will be a feature of a new pirate-themed tavern dining area near Pirates of the Caribbean attraction.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, they did suggest during the presentation that Pegleg Pete will be potentially regaling visitors with tales of the open sea. So that'd be really cool if, you kind of have like a tiki bird room style show with Pegleg Pete at one part of this tavern as you order a drink or a quick snack or something like that, and just really enhance that Pirates experience outside of the attraction itself.
They should also do some cross promotion and have Pegleg Pete show up in the tiki room to tell people to come check him out at the Pirates of the Caribbean ride,
and that would work, man.
That
would work. That would be amazing.
Totally
Kids would love that. Kids would really love that.
Exactly. Oh, I gotta go see him.
Yeah. Come get a drink after the show, folks. That's perfect. Now, speaking of another legend returning to the Disney World Magic Kingdom Park, the much and long-anticipated return of the Hatbox Ghost to the Haunted Mansion happens this November. He'll be featured in the endless hallway portion of the ride. I wonder if he maybe replaces the knight that's there and kind of doesn't do much, or
he's replacing the floating candelabra. I don't know.
Right,
I saw
there you
people
go.
are
That's what it
reacting
is.
to this. The big thing is like, how are we seeing him? Because we haven't seen Leota yet. Like, Leota is what allows us to see the ghost. And then one of the Imagineers just said, well, Hatbox Ghost is kind of does his own thing. He appears when he wants to. So he's kind of outside the whole let the ghost see you. So it's neat how they're kind of changing where he is in the story compared to where they put him in Disneyland.
And I actually think that's perfect, considering they also said that the Hatbox Ghost will not be the 1,000th Happy Haunt. It leaves the number at 999 because he was part of the original attraction. He's just been off doing his own thing for the last little while. Nobody knows where he was, but he's back now to haunt visitors. So I hope we get a real nice turn at that corner with where the endless hallway is, and we really get a good look at him. I saw a brief little clip of the effect. It looks awesome. It only took him 50 years to figure out how to do it, but it looks like the wait was
Thank
worth
Jared
it.
Leto.
Hey, he was in the Hatbox Ghost was in Disneyland before Jared Leto graced the screen as him. And I got to say, having seen the effect in Disneyland, I can't wait to see it in our home park and in the first Haunted Mansion I ever rode on.
So sorry, is it already? Does it already?
Yes, he's been there. Yeah, he's in the attic scene at the end of the attic scene, right before you fall into the graveyard. He's there, and you see that whole head swap thing. So it's really cool to see in person. And again, apparently they haven't changed much technology. They just got better at blocking the light that was making it not work sometimes. So it's cool how they don't give up on these ideas. It's been so long, and we're finally getting to see it come to our park.
Well, speaking of not giving up on ideas, our final piece of news comes in the form of a massive overhaul, 20 years in the making, for another old classic, and that is the Country Bear Jamboree attraction. This was actually originally pitched by Imagineer Ethan Reed 20 years ago and is finally being realized. The new show will feature reimagining of some of the performers, just brief little changes to their aesthetic look, maybe a bit of their character names and stuff, but nothing. You got a lot of the old classics there. But it will feature an entirely new lineup of songs that are country-inspired versions of classic Disney favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sad to see no more Blood on the Water.
Oh,
That's,
blood in the sand.
That's a classic.
Yeah, I will miss that, but I think this is so smart. Like, how do you make kids like this ride again? Yeah. Have them sing funny versions country of songs you know. Yeah. Like a country, with banjos and stuff. Let it go, let it go. Like, that's like, you do something like that, the kids will eat that up.
Yeah.
And I think even older, fans who are attached to the ride, if it has the same vibe, the same feel as the original show, and you just freshen up the songs, this is a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, because then you're not really changing much other than just updating the material, right? But that one also always felt like it needed a refresh, especially given the fact that it's close proximity to Splash Mountain, and you know, some of their character choices are definitely, you know, a little less harmful. But that said, I think it's still dated, so it'll be interesting to see how they kind of modernize it in the right ways, while, as you said, still keeping that charm. Is Test Track at this one, or is Test Track?
Oh, Test Track. Somehow I did miss that. Yes, back at Epcot, we'll jump on the monorail really quickly, run over there, and talk about Test Track. That's getting a complete overhaul as well. They're working with designers of the most modern car technology with a focus on environmental conservation and the improvements to technology that we need. Yes, it's all about a look into the future. Somebody I was reading suggested that the concept work they saw made it look like it was trackless. So that's very interesting. I mean, I'm not sure I want to be whipping around at 85 miles an hour without a track. That's terrifying to think about.
So the reason
maybe
why
they changed the style of the ride.
Right. And the reason why I was asking is because I know that there is a driving ride at Tomorrowland, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's Autopia.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's one that could use a refresh. I remember getting in
that one's a classic that you can't get rid of.
Oh, come on, you could update it. Like, I don't know, like
just throw cars in there. Make the
there you go.
Cars, and it
there
does
you go.
the same
and then,
thing.
Exactly.
It's the perfect ride for that target audience. It's an easy fix.
And Buzz and like, there's the Buzz Lightyear ride that's out there.
Buzz could use an overhaul. I think
could use an update. I think it just could use an update, if anything. Those guns need to be fixed.
Yeah, once you play Toy Story Mania, you're like, this Buzz Lightyear ride just doesn't have the same oomph, you know?
Well, because you're always like, it just feels like your target's not.
Your gun's always broken. Your gun is always broken.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of going, my score sucked because my gun was broken. But there's a lot of fun going on at all of these parks. So much to look forward to over the next decade and beyond. I can't wait to visit some of these attractions with you guys in the next year and then going forward.
Yeah, I think the most exciting part about this D23, again, is like you said, like, while it didn't have the movie news and stuff that we were usually used to, it did really hit home the idea of the Disney's ongoing commitment to the parks and what they want to do, and not just at you know, the big ones, but globally, and kind of bringing everything to the full experience. So it's nice to see that these parks are going to be getting some love. But like I was saying before, Bob Iger's in there. He's making a lot of, you know, he's looking at everything and taking a look at those books and seeing what's possible. And I think probably park attractions is where you would put your money right now, in the fact that the pandemic is not over, but people are traveling and doing things and they're out there. So, you know, there's reason to think that it's a worthy investment over maybe 9 different shows in the course of a year that, you know, may yield some profits, right? So hopefully that's what we're looking at. And a lot of this stuff, you know, as all this to say, hopefully a lot of this stuff doesn't get canceled or it doesn't get X'd from the list of things that can be done.
I mean, we did see a few things over the pandemic get canceled. I know they were planning a Mary Poppins attraction for the England Pavilion at Epcot that just I haven't heard of in years, so that seems long gone. But no, you know, with what a trip to Disney costs these days, at least make it worth it. At least make it justified, and the best way to do that is to constantly keep things fresh, changing, new, cutting edge, and all the credit in the world. You cannot deny that Disney doesn't take a great amount of care into keeping their parks in great shape and constantly feeling like you're seeing something new every time you visit, whether you're, you know, going for your first and only time, you're going for the first time in 15 years, or you're going for, you know, your third time in a year. You're almost always likely to be able to see one or more new things, and that is awesome. Is there anything from the news we talked about today that stood out the most to you? I know for me, It's the idea of an Indiana Jones park that I can ride once a year. I am so excited for that. And then an honorary mention to the Hatbox Ghost.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, maybe I rubbed off. Mom's love of fireworks shows rubbed off on me, but I'm really excited to see what this new Luminous show at Epcot's like. And again, hoping that the sight lines aren't an issue, that you can kind of see from wherever you are in the park. But ride wise, I'm definitely intrigued by this Avengers ride that's going in at Avengers Campus, especially after our discussion of what it could be. I can't wait to see as more news comes out about that ride.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say any specific ride. I'm like, you know me, guys. Like, I like some of the rides. I'm not a big ride goer, but I love the theming. I love the idea of creating an immersive experience. You know, again, as we started the conversation talking about the Hogwarts experience and putting you in the story, it's so great. So, you know, the fact that Disney has so much at their disposal in terms of properties and stories and content that they could bring to life in that way. It's incredible to see that. While rides are obviously huge attractions, again, for me, the immersive experience is where it's at. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that at future Disney parks.
Well, hopefully there's enough to do for a week worth of stuff, as we are very seriously looking into attending next year's D23 Expo from Anaheim. And that event is going to be, as I said, a week-long extravaganza that they are calling the Ultimate Disney Fan Event. It's going to feature a ball game at Angel Stadium with Disney Magic Incorporated. Maybe they could have the Jays come out and actually win a game. That would be magic.
Angels in the outfield.
You just have projections of, Christopher Lloyd out there. Sick. Speaking of Angels in the Outfield, Disney, get it on Disney Plus. I honestly cannot find that movie anywhere for rent or streaming, and it's devastating. But yeah, there's going to be, in addition to the ball game, there's going to be a day at the park. And then panels, unique shopping, and a plethora of other activities and events taking place throughout the weekend. We will be sure to bring you all of the news and updates like only Geekcentric can. But until then, that does it for our look back at the biggest news from Destination 23 2023. Thank you so much for joining us today, wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love to know, what are you most excited about? What park that you haven't visited would you love to travel to one day? Let us know by email. Justin, where can they do that?
They can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or they can reach out to us on the app formerly known as Twitter at GeekcentricYT, or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric, and on Threads at wearegeekcentric.
Keep in mind, even with the strikes going on, we have a ton of amazing content that we brought to you throughout the hot geek summer. We're halfway through our watch club for Disney Plus's Ahsoka, with 4 more episodes of this smash hit Star Wars adventure to come. We share our spoiler-free thoughts on Season 2 of I Am Groot, as well as the first 8 episodes of Season 3 of Only Murders in the Building. And on the topic of convention coverage, we recently attended Fan Expo in Toronto and thought it was the best one yet. Check out the podcast to hear all about our awesome experiences at the event, and check out our socials to see clips from the event, as well as Nate playing Kiss, Marry, Kill with convention goers, involving their most beloved characters. I think those are some of my favorite videos we've ever done. They're an absolute riot, and I think the people we talked to had a lot of fun with it and really made it a fun experience. Having just taken a tour of the Disney parks, I would be remiss if I didn't suggest you check out our YouTube channel for our Day at Disney video that we did a few years back. It really does capture the magic of what we're talking about today. We show just how much we love the Disney parks, if we didn't show you enough already today. But there we also have a ton of incredible videos, including interviews with the cast and crews of some of our favorite shows of the year. We have lots in store for you for the rest of the year, so stay tuned. Subscribe to us on all of the thingies. And until next time, as we say, love ya. I said love ya. Weird. Sorry, that's always first. All right. Get home safe, guys.
Laters.
Peace.